Hey guys, welcome back to Stanny Boy Reviews. I'm your host, Stanley. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out my channel and to talk about your favorite horror films, and sometimes mine too. Look, you cannot win them all. Every now and then there is going to be a doozy. And thankfully so, right? I mean, we have to have variety. Not every horror movie can be great. Not everything can be what Josiah saw. I had a lot of time this week and I had the opportunity to watch a lot of horror films, and a lot of them were pretty awful. And one of them was Frightmare, or The Horror Star, showing here. I'm already seated, like super seated. I f***ed up my back while I was moving my credenza and it broke, and I tried to pick it back up and I pulled a muscle, and I didn't have to tell you that entire story. So I'm sure you're already seated. So grab a shitty cup of coffee, grab a Stanny bar, because I'm sure that's what this director/writer was hopped up on when he decided to make this movie, and let's talk about Frightmare, aka The Horror Star. There's not a lot known about this little movie, so that saves me some breath and will make this review a lot shorter than my previous reviews. So that's good for everybody here. So I guess I can tell you how this movie happened in my life. I work at a restaurant in Calabasas, and that's how I met Denise Richards. I'm very grateful for the people that I have encountered. I have been serving one of the sweetest ladies in the world for the last few years now. A couple of weeks ago, she randomly told me that she was an actress and that she starred in a little horror movie called The Horror Star, aka Frightmare. I went home and naturally bought it. When I could have just streamed it for free, I just had to have it in my hands, and here it is. I completely disregarded the fact that it is a trauma movie, but I got a Blu-ray release on Vinegar Syndrome, which I love their content. I watched the trailer, saw that it was, okay looking, and was pretty excited. Seemed like a pretty cool early 80s schlock fest. So I gave it a shot. I like to give movies the benefit of the doubt, and I will never hold people that I know accountable for their performances, especially earlier in their career, and especially if they don't even act anymore. I can safely say that Frightmare, aka The Horror Star, which came out in 1983, was an experience. I guess we should just get into it. It's about a group of horror movie loving drama students who live in a big scary mansion off campus who worship this actor named Conrad Raskoff, who carries himself like a Bela Lugosi type of character who is known as the Horror Star. Hence the name of the movie, before it later got renamed Frightmare. He is also a crazy sociopath who not only walks around in a cape and dresses himself like Dracula, but he also kills off his co-stars for random, unknown reasons. Eventually, he too dies, and the horror-loving students break into his tomb, steal his body, take his body back to their big scary mansion, coffin and all, and decide to Weekend at Bernie's him, feed him spaghetti, basically just play with his corpse for the evening. They take the coffin up into the attic and leave his body there for the night. Why they do this? I don't know. It's never really explained, aside from the fact that they just really love him.
I always wanted to be your bride.
Of course, Conrad comes back to life. He has telekinetic and supernatural abilities. And he goes on a killing spree, killing all of the horror-loving students in grisly fashion. And it's up to Meg and Saint.
We did something bad.
To save the day, get Conrad's coffin and body back to his tomb before sunrise. And if you're lost, it's fine, because I'm lost trying to explain this because none of it made sense to begin with. It's one of those movies. But I will say this, I kind of enjoyed it, but for reasons that I shouldn't have. It was wildly stupid, but the death scenes were a lot of fun. They were over the top and interesting. I have no idea what was going through the mind of writer/director Norman Thaddeus Vane while he was making this movie, but he was on a good one, a really, really good one. And holy shit, this movie got made, and that's a miracle in itself. To call it weird trash would be to compliment it, but I'm at a crossroads because I didn't necessarily hate it. I had a little bit of fun. Jennifer Starrett is definitely the standout here, and that says a lot because a lot of the actors are pretty terrible. Aside from Ferdy Mayne, of course, who pulls off his best Christopher Lee impression, and the guy who played Saint, Luca Bercovici, whose last name I'm probably butchering, went on to direct the mid-90s slasher The Granny, which was a direct-to-video horror movie that I loved as a kid. And he also directed Ghoulies, so he's pretty well known in the horror world, at least was. I don't know what he's doing now. And also, Jeffrey Combs from the Reanimator series plays one of the students, but everybody else was very forgettable. In true Trauma fashion, it's like the director just found random actors on the street, well, random people on the street, offered them a joint, and was like, hey, I'm making a movie, do you guys want to be in it? And they all happily agreed because they knew they were going to get stoned. As I said, the kills were the highlight of the film, and that's usually how it is in trauma movies. If you haven't seen my review for Beware Children at Play, I highly suggest watching the review. The link is right here. And honestly, watch that movie too, because that's trauma done right, if that's a thing. At least they ripped off Children of the Corn in a weird, stupid, trashy way to where it was fun to watch. This movie meandered so much in the middle section to where it just wasn't as entertaining as it could have been. Like, there's an idea here, but in all honesty, Frightmare was just kind of boring. And it was so hard to follow that when it did finally start getting a little bit watchable, I just was ready for it to be over. And that's really sad because it's only an hour and 25 minutes long and it felt like it was 3 hours. I'm still glad I watched it, I guess. And now it's part of the collection and it's great quality on the Blu-ray that Vinegar Syndrome released. And I can say I at least know one of the lead actresses.
We did something bad.
It's historical. So on Stanny Stab-O-Meter, I'm gonna give this little cutie 2 stabs. That's for the kills, which were pretty cool and fun and inventive, I suppose. And that's obviously where most of the budget went. And also for the cover art, it has nothing to do with the movie. And aside from a couple of the performances that were just okay, there's nothing really spectacular about it except for the I will probably show this to my friends factor, kind of like Demon Wind or Beware Children at Play. It's got that you gotta see it to believe it kind of thing going for it. You gotta have the bad to go with the good. And it's a movie, it exists, it got made, that's something. I've never made a movie. So what do you say, guys? Have you seen Frightmare? Have you seen The Horror Star? If you have, leave a comment, let me know what you think. I'm dying to know. Do you think it's worth 2 stabs? Don't forget to follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, and I'm on TikTok. And you guys, please subscribe. I'll see you next week with a review on the 1987 Italian slasher Stage Fright. Gonna keep this 80s theme going, I suppose. And I thought it would be kind of cool from now on to announce the title of the movie that I'm going to be covering next week, just so you get a little taste of what's to come. Until then, you guys, take care. I'll see you soon.